Well, today I'm talking to a friend who is a true Renaissance woman, Pam Vitaz, and we've known each other for quite a while. And what I love about her is she's real smart and she gets bored easily. And therefore she has created a lot of very creative, connective, uh, um, community-based projects, land-based experiments, and she has been bridging the worlds of her own intuitive abilities and her incredible logical analytical mind for in a lifetime, like some of you listening also have. And she's recently really landed on a thing that I don't know how long you'll tell the story how long ago that was that we kind of came to it, but like it's such a perfect example of how to bring your spiritual gifts into a logical, impact centered niche and a clear need that everyone can really land with. I just wanted to get on here. I wanted to invite you on the show and speak to that. Pam, look, she's an author, she's a mama, she's a channel, she's an intuitive, she's a community builder, she's a real estate expert, and now she is the founder and creator of the Hestia House Method. So, welcome, Pam. I'm glad you're here, love.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. You've definitely been a guiding light for a really long time. I think that's 2007. And I
Yeah.
really feel honored to be here. And I have to say, this whole like projectors guiding projectors for anybody into the human design system, you've definitely been sort of like that no matter where I've been in my process, this almost like the hermit in the tarot where you're holding the candle,
Mm.
um and I could just like see, oh, I just go there. I just need to make a thing to get on the podcast. Then I know I'll be doing it. It doesn't really work that way, but here we are.
Well, and I got to give it to you too. You're someone that I think of sometimes as a good example of one of my favorite types of clients who is actually a tough nut to crack. Like in that you are an enigma wrapped in a paradox, and for yourself and for me and for all, because you are such a Renaissance person. You do so many things. You have made yourself an expert in so many things that when you're a Renaissance woman like you are, and you're intuitive to boot, and you're, kind of a high class smart bitch, um, it makes us, and I'm just going to say us because I feel like I also could answer to any of these things. It makes us difficult. It makes us challenging to niche, to like put in any sort of label box, anything like that. It also makes us really profoundly useful when we do find the place that we can really serve. And this show is going to air in August, which is the month on my beautiful little, wait, where did it go? On my wheel of wisdom calendar, dun, 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 which if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it, but if you're listening to it on the podcast, you'll have to probably follow a link or something. Um, August is about the architect of the contributor. And you've been a philanthropist, you've been a community volunteer, you've been a contributor your whole life. You've done a lot of things. But there's something special that happens when you triangulate all your various interests and your abilities to this point where it's time to like serve a certain person in a certain situation. So when you called me and you were like, okay, I'm embracing this thing that we talked about however many years ago, I was like, yes, she's choosing it like it's time. And it's not just a choice. It's not like we're stubborn, and there's someone listening right now who's like, oh my God, she's raising her hand and she's like, yes, I am also a Renaissance person. I also have a bajillion gifts that I could give. And I don't feel the calling and the coalescing and the moment is right to do this one. And I can tell you with certainty that even, if you get a VIP session with me, you still your timing is your own, and it's gonna land whenever it's gonna land. And when it does, it's gonna be really good. So yeah.
For sure. To a shout out to those people out there, whether you're getting a session with Mellissa or wherever you're finding whoever you're finding, like, don't think either it's not going to happen to you, or really the thing is, don't think that you're too good for it. Like, I think
shoot.
like this part of like, I shouldn't have to, go through
Yeah.
those mundane pedestrian activities.
Oh, girl, that was
No,
so
I
mean.
mean,
Yeah, I resisted it for I think 7 or 8 years myself because I was too good for it. So I really relate with that.
well, I mean, that's true. I
Yeah,
mean, there's so many
like,
people out there listening who are probably mothers, maybe becoming the empty nest or whatever sort of this demographic is, especially having gone through the corporate world, which I
mhm.
skirted the best that I could, but I still got sucked up into for quite a while. Um, that we all want that liberation. And here we're recording this right around July 4th. It's like, what does freedom look like? What does freedom look like for us as individuals?
Yeah,
What does freedom look like for our country? And what does that even mean for contribution? Like,
right.
I've, like you said, I've been a contributor. I mean, I started doing philanthropic stuff at 8 just because my mom kind of forced me into it. And I'm not
Mhm.
alone in this.
Mhm.
And this narrative that, like, well, to whom much is given, much is expected, to the
Yeah.
point that I, burned myself into the ground. And again, this is a story that you're hearing more and more, like, from so many women. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to, like, go in a hole for a while and find the thing that's like truly you, and not, and I think that was what I was resisting. I was resisting going in the hole because I was getting so much
Mhm.
accolades for all of the things that I was doing that I wasn't. So even though, like, it looked good on paper, I didn't feel happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is so like, I don't know, people can point to middle age, perimenopause, people can point to a lot of things, but I think there is a point in the maturing of a woman where we go through these cycles of like, okay, I'm serving, I'm a mom, I'm giving myself to my kids. Oh crap, the kids are gone. I'm out of a job. Okay, well, I better push into something else, push in and no. And then the whole body is like, no, there won't be a pushing. And then, like you say, oftentimes it requires it going into a hole or like really diving into yourself and doing the personal development work, the mystery school stuff, the trauma healing, the grieving, all the stuff. And then there is, I think you're right, a point where we're also like, okay, and now, yes, even I, even I have to make sense to the people. Even I have to have maybe a niche or a strategy or like I better damn well give this words. And then there is this potential for landing in what I call your wise woman sweet spot, your wise woman contribution that is not from a place of pushing or obligation, but it's just from like, dude, I could do this is like falling off a log for me. And people want to pay me for it.
Yeah.
Oh, hells to the yeah. I would do this whether they paid me or not. It's so fun. This is just what I do. And I feel like, when a woman comes to me maybe at age 21 and says, I want a job like that, I want to work like that, where it's just falling off a log, I'm like, sorry, honey, you're going to have to earn it. Because maybe she doesn't have the level of life experience and she hasn't been accumulating all these Renaissance woman failures. Honestly, it's not just the successes but also the failures. But then there comes a point where all that stuff, the successes, the failures, your education, your relationships, your experience as a mom, for crying out loud, um kind of land on something. And so I want you to tell us kind of the story of how Hestia House came to be. Tell us what it is and then how did
I,
it come to be?
I think I might need to do a couple sentences of
Yeah.
background just to say kind of how I ended up in real estate, because my degree was in
Yeah.
invertebrate zoology of all things.
Which is very
I
much like real estate. When you think about it, invertebrate zoology is like adjacent.
right. I mean,
Wait,
it's
is
like
it?
bugs and octopi, and
Yeah,
I guess they're only called octopuses and now, but
that's okay.
anyway, yes, so my degree was in invertebrate zoology. My like work history had all been in fundraising, development, in the arts, and in universities. And I was a traveler and pretty directionless, but totally in love, and got married very young, and went on to have 4 children. So it was sort of like eking out anything that I could for myself, because my partner had a very busy job, and that was just sort of the life. And at some point in about 2005, I had an awakening because of a health scare crisis, and ended up with a high-end luxury home rental business based around the Kentucky Derby,
Mhm.
30 months to market before Airbnb.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
I was in Kentucky, and I was not in Silicon Valley, and no one knew what I was talking about except the customers. So the product did
Mhm.
really well. We were very
Mhm.
successful, but I was in this awakening moment at the time, and
Mhm.
that's when I started, going to Silicon Valley to try to find people who understood the industry. But what I was seeking was a deep understanding of what was happening with my whole psychic awakening, and that was a little bit after my 4th child had been born. So I've got this giant brand new company, 4 children under the age of 8. It was a lot.
Wow.
So that, though, whet my palate for real estate. And
Mhm.
so I sold the company, kind of righted myself energetically enough to survive, and got really deep in the real estate world, with our own investments and flips, and really getting to know every aspect of that industry. And then, but always still resisting, this is another time,
Uh-huh.
but resisting getting that real estate license.
Uh,
Because if I got a real estate license, then I would be a realtor. And there's already this sort of slimy, kind of how you talk about the lawyers
yeah,
sometimes. It's like
right.
that vibe that people have. And the reason that people have that vibe is because of how the industry is organized. It's not because of the individuals. People need to buy homes, people need to sell
Yeah,
homes, people
yeah.
need to transition through homes. So it is an important guide that a realtor can be, but I resisted it. So I had given a referral out to a friend who, when I was not licensed, that turned into an $8.9 million sale. So my
Wow.
logical brain went, okay, if I if I have, let's
Yeah.
see, if I had just had a license, that'd be $14,900 in my hand for doing nothing but saying, you should really meet so and so.
Uh-huh.
So here we are. I went ahead and got the license, but then it was, this is where the astrology gets funny. Uranus had immediately gone into Taurus, literally the moment I clicked purchase that real estate course. And then I went totally into that legal brain. I wanted to know every single thing about every aspect of the real estate industry. And I worked really, really hard to learn that.
Mm.
And what I learned in the course of selling about 30 homes, something in there like that, or helping, clients do that,
Mhm.
I learned a lot of things that are sad and broken in the industry. And so, you know, I knew that I could no longer keep separate my pragmatic, intellectual self with my deep intuitive self,
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
concurrent with this real estate work, I was hosting people at my home for meditations, and we would even have coffee meditations and go look at 3 houses in the neighborhood for fun, and then
Nice.
give the local realtors our feedback, something like
Uh-huh.
that. And that was some great fun. And but I knew there was something more. But it took a while. And so I was gentle with myself, though. I would just journal about it and tell myself, this time we're going to take our time. I'm not in a financial emergency. I don't need to. And it's not, I think if you're in a financial emergency, this is not probably the best time to create, although I guess everybody does it differently. But I had some leeway and some leisure, I guess I could say, in terms, and I gave it to myself to really, really take time to develop this. And so the tools that I'm developing now are really to support the consumer, but also to support the realtor, to support realtors in meeting their own intuition, and then providing tools that they can share with their clients so that they're able to save time, save money, and that their clients can be incredibly educated, but honoring that the client is intuitive, that the client isn't just a buck. The client is literally somebody who's going to be moving into a home. And yeah.
So are you really with Hestia House? It sounds like you're bringing this awareness that we all have, like, oh, we'll say things like, I'll know the house when I feel it. I'll know the right house when I feel it. Or you open a listing and you're like, whoa, my gut says this is the house. Or you open a listing and you say, no, my gut says this is, like, it looks perfect on paper, but this isn't the house. So which pieces of that are you doing now with Hestia House? Like, what's your role? What's your goal? What's your role with
So
Hestia
I guess I
House?
wouldn't be Pam Vitaz if I wasn't doing all of them.
Uh-huh. You're like, I want the holistic thing, all of it.
Yeah. So I'm in the process right now, developing, producing, and releasing right now, sort of in the process, a guide for buyers,
Uh-huh.
a guide for sellers, a guide for investors, and then a guide for realtors. And then finally, we
To
have a
be
guide.
intuitive or what? What is it? What's the
The
guide
guide
about?
for realtors, yeah, it's mostly about your confidence, yes, utilizing your intuition, helping you understand how to
Okay.
utilize these tools. And then finally, we have a course for intuitives, how they can transition into this real estate market, because I think so many intuitives out there, they have the gifts, but they don't know the business. They don't understand the business. So it seems
Mm-hmm.
like some of the very best channels and the very best psychics really, really struggle to be on the ground.
Uh-huh.
And, so if we can hold their hand a little bit, we provide a course to help intuitives go into homes and do energy clearings for the
Okay.
homes. That's
Oh, cool.
one of the
Fun.
services that people can find through the website. Um, yes, so it's the whole package, and of course I'm doing it all at once because each part's informing each other part, but it still
Right.
makes it challenging.
Why is it Hestia? Tell us about Hestia.
Yeah, so we were looking at like the Energy Staging Institute or something like this, and it was feeling like it wasn't honoring the intuitive side.
Mm.
So Hestia is actually the goddess of the hearth and home. And so this is a sibling of Zeus. And so, in ancient times, Hestia was honored as the hearth. And so I think a lot of my work in like the psychosomatic integrative awakening work, it's
Mm-hmm.
always coming back to sort of that fire that's in your belly and letting the hara be heard as we integrate our head, our heart, our hara, integrating that belly, integrating that womb, that hearth. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a space I think like in our feminine journeys, it hasn't been tended well enough.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of women have a lot of suffering. And I'm not a medical intuitive. I don't go into that neighborhood really in my work, but it just honors to me that hara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's super
Because
cool. And
the house is
just
also, the home is like the body is the home.
right. No, it works on so many levels, very Pam Vitaz style. It works on all the levels. And I just want to reflect, again, I just wanted you to come in and share this because I really want our listener to hear that, listen to Pam. Obviously, she studied human design. She studied astrology. She studied psychosomatic healing. She studied about a bajillion other things, so we can't list them all here. But she's using them all to serve this connection between homes, intuit and us, both in our intellect and our intuition. So what does that mean? Oh, real estate agents, they need that. Intuitives who want to buy a house, they need that. Intuitives who want to clear a house, they need that. It's this it's such a cool brand because it's really building a bridge that hasn't been there. And yet we're all speaking about it, but we haven't really been speaking to it. So we all, like I say, well, my intuition says this is the right house, but then we're like, oh, but that doesn't really mean anything. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So yeah, so thank you. And I understand that right now, or at least for a limited time, there's kind of a free gift that you're offering at hestiahousemethod.com. And we'll have Pam's information and her links are all below in the show notes. But tell us a little bit about this guide, just to bring in another one of your loves, which is numerology. Tell us about this free gift you're
So
offering.
we actually are continuing to build the free resource library so people
Mm,
can find lots of free resources on the website. Um, but if you put your email address in, instantly you start in the email to receive the numerology guide to understand how to figure out which number is your house, the way you
okay.
add the numbers together, and to feel what kind of energy your house
Huh.
carries. And if the house is right, I don't think you reject the house based on its number, but you understand that this is a time in your life that you're going to be carrying the energy and living an experience and doing a dance with that particular number. And
House
so it's,
numerology. That's
yeah, so
awesome.
it's
Okay.
fun for people to
Uh-huh.
look back at all the addresses that they've lived in before
Yes.
and what that phase of their life was like. It's all
Oh
just sort of
gosh, that's
matches
rad.
up. So
Super
it's
cool.
fun to see, but like all of this stuff, I think we have to hold it a little bit lightly.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It
Yeah,
doesn't remove our free choice. It's just another piece of information.
yeah.
Yes, I love that. Oh, well, thanks, Pam. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy, talking with you, and I've really just learned so much from you. And so I feel so grateful for this moment.
I'm grateful for you too. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.